A dying billionaire needs an heir to save his empire. But a hidden condition makes it impossible. When his loyal maid offers a secret sacrifice that could cost her everything, their worlds collide in the most unexpected way. Welcome back, my friends. Before we start, tell me in the comments, do you believe love can heal a wounded heart? If you enjoy stories like this, please subscribe. Now, let's begin. The rain hit the glass wall like 1,000 tiny fists. Ethan Cross stood alone in his penthouse, 50 floors above Chicago. The city glowed below him, but he felt nothing. He wore a black suit. His jaw was tight. His eyes were cold. He was 42 years old. He owned Cross Industries, one of the biggest tech companies in America. He had billions of dollars. But inside, he felt empty. Ethan poured himself a drink. Whiskey. Expensive. He didn't taste it. He just drank to fill the silence. The penthouse was huge, marble floors, tall ceilings, rare paintings on the walls. But it was quiet. Too quiet. No family. No friends. No one. Just him. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Probably his assistant. Probably another meeting he didn't care about. He built an empire, but he didn't know why anymore. Every day felt the same. Work. Money. Silence. He heard a soft sound behind him. Footsteps. Light. Careful. Excuse me, Mr. Cross. Her voice was quiet. Respectful. Ethan didn't turn around. I'll be done in 10 minutes, the voice said. Lucy Martinez pushed her cleaning cart into the corner. She wore a simple gray uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She was 29, but her eyes looked older. Tired. She moved carefully, like she didn't want to disturb him. She never did. Lucy had worked in this penthouse for 2 years. She cleaned 5 days a week. She knew every corner of this place. She knew where Mr. Cross liked his coffee cup. She knew he barely ate. She knew he never smiled. But he never looked at her. Not really. To him, she was invisible. Lucy didn't mind. She needed this job. She worked 2 other jobs too, one at a diner, one at a grocery store. She sent money to her younger brother in Texas. He was in college. She wanted him to have a future. She wiped down the kitchen counter. The marble was always perfect. Mr. Cross barely used the kitchen. But she cleaned it anyway. She glanced at him. He stood by the window, still as a statue. She wondered what he thought about. Did billionaires feel lonely? Did they feel anything? She looked away quickly. It wasn't her place to wonder. Leave the office, Ethan said suddenly. His voice was low. Flat. Lucy froze. Sir. Don't clean the office tonight. Just leave it. Yes, sir. She finished the kitchen in silence. Then she rolled her cart toward the door. She moved fast. She always did. Mr. Cross didn't like people around. But before she reached the door, she heard him speak again. Do you have family? Lucy stopped. Her heart skipped. He'd never asked her anything before. Never. She turned slowly. Yes, sir. A brother. Ethan still didn't look at her. He stared out at the rain. That's good. Lucy waited, but he said nothing else. She left quietly. The door clicked shut behind her. Ethan finally turned. He stared at the door for a long moment. He didn't know why he asked. He didn't care. Or maybe he did. Maybe he just wanted to hear that someone somewhere wasn't alone. He finished his drink. Then he went to his office. The office was dark. Ethan didn't turn on the lights. He sat at his desk and opened a drawer. Inside was a single envelope. Thick. Expensive paper. A lawyer's seal. He'd been avoiding it for weeks. But tonight, something made him open it. He pulled out the letter. His eyes scanned the words. His uncle's name was at the top. Henry Cross. The man who raised him. The man who built Cross Industries before Ethan took over. Henry died 3 months ago. And this letter was his will. Ethan read slowly. Most of it was standard, assets, properties, stocks. But then he reached the final paragraph. His blood went cold. To retain full control of Cross Industries, Ethan Cross must produce a legitimate heir within 12 months of my death. If this condition is not met, controlling shares will transfer to the board of directors. Ethan's hands shook. An heir. A child. Within 12 months. The letter fell from his hands. Outside, thunder rumbled. Ethan sat in the dark, his mind racing. This was impossible. The board would destroy everything he built. They'd tear apart his uncle's legacy. His legacy. But a child? He couldn't. He hadn't been with a woman in over 15 years. Not because he didn't want to. Because he couldn't. And no one knew why. Have you ever felt trapped by a secret you couldn't share? Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat in his office until the sun came up. The letter lay on his desk like a curse. 12 months. 1 year to do the impossible. He called his lawyer at 7 in the morning. Richard. I need to see you. Now. 2 hours later, Richard Brennan sat across from Ethan in the penthouse. Richard was 60 years old, gray hair, sharp suit. He'd worked for the Cross family for 30 years. He knew everything. There's no way around it, Richard said quietly. Your uncle's will is iron-tight. You need an heir. A biological child. Within 12 months. Ethan's jaw clenched. And if I don't? The board takes control. They'll vote you out within a year. Maybe sooner. Ethan stood and walked to the window. Chicago stretched out below him, waking up. Millions of people. Millions of lives. And his was falling apart. There has to be another option, Ethan said. Richard hesitated. There are modern options. Surrogacy. IVF. You wouldn't need a relationship. Just a medical procedure. Ethan's hands became fists. Richard didn't know. No one knew. I'll think about it, Ethan said coldly. Richard left. Ethan stood alone again. The word surrogacy echoed in his mind. It sounded so simple. So clinical. But it wasn't simple for him. Nothing about this was simple. Because Ethan Cross had a secret. A secret that had shaped his entire adult life. When he was 12 years old, something happened. Something he never told anyone. A family friend, a man his uncle trusted, hurt him. Hurt him in ways a child should never be hurt. It broke something inside Ethan. He couldn't be close to people. Couldn't be touched. Couldn't be intimate. Even the thought of it made his chest tighten and his hands shake. He built walls. Tall, thick walls. He became cold. Powerful. Untouchable. And now those walls were trapping him. He needed an heir. But he couldn't even imagine how. Lucy arrived at noon. She knocked softly, then used her key. The penthouse was quiet. Mr. Cross was usually at his office by now, but today his briefcase sat by the door. He was still home. She moved carefully through the rooms. When she reached the hallway near his office, she heard voices. She froze. She shouldn't listen. She knew that. But the voices were loud. Tense. You don't understand. Ethan's voice cut through the air. I can't do this. Then you'll lose everything. Richard's voice. Calm but firm. Ethan, I've known you since you were a boy. Your uncle wanted you to have a family. A life. Not just a company. My uncle didn't know, Ethan stopped himself. Silence. Lucy's heart pounded. She should leave. She should walk away. But she didn't. Didn't know what. Richard asked gently. Another long silence. Nothing, Ethan said finally. His voice was flat again. Empty. Just leave, Richard. Lucy heard footsteps. She quickly moved down the hall, pretending to dust a table. Richard walked past her without a glance. The front door closed. Lucy stood still. She looked toward the office. The door was half open. She saw Mr. Cross sitting at his desk, his head in his hands. He looked broken. For the first time since she'd worked here, he didn't look like a billionaire. He looked like a man who was drowning. Lucy's chest tightened. She didn't know what was wrong. But she knew pain when she saw it. She'd lived with pain her whole life. She turned to leave. But then she heard him speak. I can't. His voice cracked. I can't do this alone. Lucy stopped. Those words hit her like a punch. She knew that feeling. She'd felt it 1,000 times. After her parents died. After she had to raise her brother alone. After every night she came home exhausted and cried because she didn't know how to keep going. I can't do this alone. She understood. Lucy took a breath. Then she did something she'd never done before. She knocked on the office door. Ethan looked up sharply. His eyes were red. Angry. I said leave the office. I'm sorry, Mr. Cross, Lucy said quietly. I heard you. I didn't mean to. But I heard. Ethan's face went cold. Get out. I just want to say. Lucy's voice shook, but she didn't stop. Whatever it is, you're not alone. I don't know what's wrong, but you're not alone. Ethan stared at her. For the first time in 2 years, he really saw her. Her dark eyes. Honest. Kind. You don't know anything about me, he said. I know you're hurting, Lucy said softly. Then she turned and left. Ethan sat frozen. Her words echoed in the silence. You're not alone. But he was. He'd been alone for 30 years. Lucy couldn't stop thinking about him. 3 days passed. She came to the penthouse every morning. She cleaned. She worked. But everything felt different now. Mr. Cross avoided her. When she entered a room, he left. When she cleaned the kitchen, he stayed in his office. When their eyes met for even a second, he looked away. He was pushing her away. Lucy understood. She'd crossed a line. She'd spoken when she shouldn't have. She was just the maid. It wasn't her place to care. But she did care. She couldn't help it. On Thursday morning, Lucy arrived early. The penthouse was dark. Silent. Mr. Cross's bedroom door was closed. She started cleaning the living room, moving quietly. Then she heard a sound. A crash. Glass breaking. It came from the office. Lucy dropped her cloth and ran. She pushed open the office door. Mr. Cross stood in the center of the room. A glass lay shattered on the floor. Whiskey pooled on the marble. His hand was bleeding. He stared at it like he didn't even feel it. Mr. Cross. Lucy rushed forward. Your hand. Get out. His voice was low. Dangerous. You're bleeding. Please let me. I said get out. His shout echoed through the room. Lucy flinched. But she didn't leave. She looked into his eyes. They were wild. Desperate. Lost. No, she said quietly. Ethan stared at her. What? I said no. Lucy's voice was steady now. You're hurt. I'm not leaving. She walked past him to the bathroom. She grabbed the first aid kit from under the sink. Then she came back and took his hand gently. Ethan didn't pull away. He didn't know why. Lucy cleaned the cut carefully. Her hands were soft. Steady. She didn't speak. She just worked. Ethan watched her. Up close, he noticed things he'd never seen before. The small scar on her chin. The tiredness in her eyes. The way her hands moved with practiced care. Why do you work so much? He asked suddenly. Lucy looked up, surprised. I have to. 3 jobs. She blinked. How did you? I pay attention, Ethan said. It wasn't entirely true. He'd looked at her file after their last conversation. He didn't know why. Lucy wrapped his hand in gauze. My brother is in college. In Texas. He wants to be a teacher. I'm helping him. And your parents? They died when I was 19. Car accident. Her voice was calm, but Ethan heard the pain underneath. It's just me and him now. She finished wrapping his hand. But she didn't let go right away. You take care of everyone, Ethan said quietly. Who takes care of you? Lucy's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back quickly. I don't need anyone to take care of me. Everyone needs someone. Lucy looked at him. Really looked at him. So do you, Mr. Cross. Ethan pulled his hand back. The walls came up again. Fast. High. You don't know what I need, he said coldly. Maybe not, Lucy said. But I know what loneliness looks like. I see it every time I come here. Ethan turned away. Clean up the glass. Then leave. Lucy stood. Her heart ached. She'd pushed too far again. I'm sorry. She knelt down and started picking up the broken glass. Her hands shook. Ethan watched her from the corner of his eye. He wanted to say something. He wanted to tell her she was right. That he was lonely. That he was terrified. That he didn't know how to fix his life. But the words wouldn't come. He walked out of the office. Lucy finished cleaning. She threw away the glass. She wiped up the whiskey. Then she stood in the empty office, alone. She looked at Mr. Cross's desk. Papers were scattered everywhere. She saw the edge of a letter. Thick paper. A lawyer's seal. She shouldn't look. She knew she shouldn't. But something made her step closer. She saw just a few words. Produce a legitimate heir within 12 months. Or lose control of Cross Industries. Lucy's breath caught. Now she understood. Mr. Cross wasn't just lonely. He was desperate. He needed a child. An heir. But for some reason, he couldn't have one. And it was destroying him. Lucy's mind raced. She backed away from the desk. Her heart pounded. This wasn't her business. This wasn't her problem. But those words haunted her. You're not alone. She'd said that to him. But maybe she could do more than just say it. Maybe she could help. The thought was crazy. Impossible. But it wouldn't leave her mind. 2 weeks passed. Lucy said nothing about what she'd seen. She came to work. She cleaned. She stayed quiet. But she watched Mr. Cross carefully. He was getting worse. He barely ate. He barely slept. Dark circles formed under his eyes. His suits hung looser on his frame. He was always on the phone, always angry, always tense. The 12-month deadline was eating him alive. Lucy's heart broke a little more each day. On a cold Monday morning, everything changed. Lucy arrived at 8. She knocked and entered. The penthouse was dark. All the curtains were closed. Mr. Cross, she called softly. No answer. She walked through the living room. The kitchen. Everything was untouched from the day before. He hadn't eaten. Hadn't moved. Fear crept into her chest. She walked to his bedroom. The door was slightly open. Mr. Cross. She pushed the door open. He was on the floor. Collapsed beside his bed. His face was pale. His breathing was shallow. Mr. Cross. Lucy dropped to her knees beside him. Can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open. Confused. Unfocused. I'm fine. He whispered. You're not fine. Lucy pulled out her phone. I'm calling an ambulance. His hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Weak, but desperate. No. No hospitals. You need help. No hospitals, he said again. His voice was firm despite his weakness. Please. Lucy's mind raced. She looked at him, this powerful man, reduced to this. Scared of hospitals. Scared of people knowing. Okay, she said finally. No hospital. But I'm not leaving you. She helped him onto the bed. He was heavy, but she was stronger than she looked. Years of hard work had made her strong. She checked his pulse. Fast but steady. She felt his forehead. No fever. When did you last eat? She asked. Ethan closed his eyes. I don't remember. When did you last sleep? 2 days. Maybe 3. Lucy shook her head. You're running yourself into the ground. I don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice, Lucy said firmly. She went to the kitchen. She made soup, simple, warm, easy to digest. She made tea. She brought it back on a tray. Ethan was sitting up now, leaning against the headboard. He looked embarrassed. Vulnerable. I don't need. Eat, Lucy said. Not harsh. But not asking, either. Ethan took the bowl. His hands shook slightly. He ate slowly. The warmth spread through him. He hadn't realized how hungry he was. Lucy sat in the chair beside the bed. She didn't speak. She just stayed. When he finished, she took the bowl. Now sleep. I can't. Try. Ethan looked at her. Why are you doing this? Lucy met his eyes. Because someone should. Those words hit him hard. He laid back down. Lucy pulled the blanket over him. She stood to leave. Stay, Ethan said quietly. Lucy stopped. What? Just stay in the room. Please. His voice was barely a whisper. I don't want to be alone. Lucy's throat tightened. She nodded. She sat back down in the chair. Ethan closed his eyes. For the first time in days, he slept. Lucy stayed all day. She worked quietly around the penthouse. But every 30 minutes, she checked on him. He slept deeply, like his body had finally given up fighting. It was evening when he woke. The room was dim. One small lamp glowed in the corner. Lucy sat in the chair, reading a book. You're still here, Ethan said. His voice was rough from sleep. Lucy looked up. I said I would be. You should have gone home. I called my other jobs. Told them I couldn't come. She closed her book. How do you feel? Better. And he did. The fog in his mind had cleared a little. His body felt less like it was falling apart. Good. Lucy stood. I'll make you something to eat. Wait. She turned. Ethan sat up. He looked at her for a long moment. Why do you care? Lucy thought about it. I think everyone deserves to have someone care. Even people who push everyone away. Ethan's chest tightened. I don't deserve your kindness. That's not for you to decide. Silence filled the room. Then Ethan did something he hadn't done in 30 years. He told the truth. I can't have the heir, he said quietly. Not the normal way. Lucy's breath caught. She sat back down slowly. What do you mean? Ethan looked down at his hands. Something happened to me. A long time ago. When I was a child. His voice shook. It broke something inside me. I can't be with someone. Can't be intimate. I've tried. I can't. Tears filled his eyes. The doctors have words for it. Trauma. PTSD. It doesn't matter what it's called. The result is the same. I'm alone. And I can't do the one thing that would save everything I've built. Lucy's heart shattered. She saw him completely now. Not a cold billionaire. Just a broken man who'd been suffering alone for decades. You're not broken, she whispered. Ethan looked at her. Tears ran down his face. Yes, I am. Lucy reached out. She took his hand. Then maybe we're both broken, she said softly. They sat in silence for a long time. Ethan didn't pull his hand away. Lucy didn't let go. For the first time in his adult life, human touch didn't make him want to run. Maybe because she understood pain. Maybe because she didn't judge him. What happened to you? Lucy asked gently. You don't have to tell me. But sometimes it helps to say it out loud. Ethan stared at the wall. The memories were always there, buried deep. He never talked about them. Never. But tonight, something was different. I was 12, he began. His voice was flat. Distant. My parents died in a plane crash. My Uncle Henry took me in. He was a good man. He loved me. He tried his best. Lucy listened quietly. Henry had a business partner. A man named David Corrin. He came to the house often. He was charming. Friendly. Everyone trusted him. Ethan's jaw clenched. Henry trusted him with me. Lucy's stomach dropped. She knew where this was going. David hurt me, Ethan said simply. For 6 months. He told me if I said anything, he'd destroy my uncle's company. He'd make sure Henry lost everything. I was just a kid. I believed him. Tears fell silently down Lucy's cheeks. When I turned 13, David moved to Europe. He just left. Like nothing happened. Ethan's voice cracked. I never told my uncle. I never told anyone. But something inside me changed. I couldn't let people close. Couldn't let anyone touch me. Not in that way. He finally looked at Lucy. His eyes were raw with pain. I built walls. I became cold. Powerful. I thought if I controlled everything, I'd be safe. But now those walls are killing me. I need an heir to keep my company. But I can't. I physically can't. There are other ways, Lucy said softly. Surrogacy. IVF. You don't have to. I know. Ethan closed his eyes. My lawyer explained it all. The medical procedures. But even that. He took a shaky breath. Even that terrifies me. Trusting someone with this. With my secret. With my future. Lucy squeezed his hand. I understand. Do you? Ethan's voice was bitter. Do you really understand what it's like to be so broken that you can't even save yourself? Yes, Lucy said simply. Ethan looked at her, surprised. Lucy took a deep breath. After my parents died, I fell apart. I was 19. My brother was 12. Suddenly I was his mother, his father, everything. I had no money. No help. I worked 4 jobs that first year. She looked down at their joined hands. I got so tired. So empty. One night, I stood on a bridge. I thought about jumping. I thought about how easy it would be to just stop. Her voice shook. But then my brother called. He said, Lucy, when are you coming home? I'm scared to be alone. Tears ran down her face now. That's when I realized, we're all scared to be alone. We're all broken in some way. But we survive because someone needs us. Or because we need someone. She looked up at Ethan. You're not alone anymore, Mr. Cross. I'm here. Ethan's walls cracked. Completely. He pulled his hand back and covered his face. His shoulders shook. He cried like he hadn't cried since he was 12 years old. Lucy moved to sit on the edge of the bed. She didn't touch him. She just stayed close. It's okay, she whispered. You're safe. It's okay to feel this. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Time didn't matter. Finally, Ethan lowered his hands. His eyes were red, but something had shifted in them. Something lighter. I don't know what to do, he said quietly. Lucy was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised even herself. What if I helped you? Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Lucy's heart pounded. She couldn't believe she was saying this. The heir. What if I carried your child? Through surrogacy. IVF. Whatever the doctors say. Ethan's eyes went wide. Lucy, no. That's insane. Why? Because he stopped himself. I'm what? Your maid. Lucy's voice was strong now. I'm also a woman who understands what it's like to lose everything. You need help. I can give it. I can't ask you to do this. You're not asking. I'm offering. Ethan stood up. He paced the room. Do you understand what you're saying? This isn't a small thing. This is a child. A human life. I know exactly what it is, Lucy said. And I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because you deserve a chance. You deserve your legacy. And maybe. Her voice softened. Maybe I deserve to do something that matters. Have you ever wanted to help someone, even when it seemed impossible? Ethan stared at her. This woman, this quiet, humble maid, was offering him everything. Why? He whispered. Lucy smiled sadly. Because you're not alone. Remember. 3 days later, they sat in a doctor's office. Dr. Helen Park was a fertility specialist. She was professional, kind, and discreet. Ethan had paid her well to keep this completely private. Everything looks good, Dr. Park said, reviewing their test results. Lucy, your health is excellent. Ethan, your samples are viable. IVF is absolutely possible. Lucy's hands were folded in her lap. She was nervous but calm. Ethan sat stiffly beside her. He looked like he might run at any moment. The process is straightforward, Dr. Park continued. We'll begin hormone treatments for Lucy. In 2 weeks, we'll retrieve eggs and fertilize them. Then we'll implant the embryo. If successful, Lucy will carry the baby to term. Lucy nodded. I understand. Dr. Park looked at Ethan. Do you have any questions? Ethan's jaw was tight. How long until we know if it worked? About 2 weeks after implantation. We'll do a blood test. Ethan nodded stiffly. Dr. Park smiled gently. I know this is unconventional, but you're both doing something very brave. They left the office in silence. In the car, Ethan finally spoke. You can still back out. Lucy looked at him. Can you? No. Then neither can I. Ethan drove them back to the penthouse. The city lights blurred past. Neither of them spoke. But something unspoken passed between them. Trust. The next 2 weeks changed everything. Lucy still worked as Ethan's maid. But now, she also lived in the penthouse. Ethan insisted. She needed rest. Proper meals. No stress. He cleared out the guest room for her. He hired someone to cover her other jobs. He made sure she had everything she needed. At first, Lucy protested. You don't have to do all this. Yes, I do, Ethan said firmly. You're doing something impossible for me. The least I can do is take care of you. So Lucy stayed. And slowly, they became something more than employer and employee. They became friends. Every morning, Ethan made coffee. Lucy was shocked the first time. You know how to make coffee? She asked. I'm not completely helpless, Ethan said with the smallest smile. It was the first time Lucy had seen him smile. They ate breakfast together. They talked. Not about the baby. Not about the company. Just life. Ethan learned that Lucy loved old movies. Black and white films from the 1940s. Lucy learned that Ethan played piano. He hadn't touched one in 20 years. One evening, Lucy found him standing in front of the grand piano in the living room. It was covered in dust. Do you miss it? She asked. Ethan ran his hand over the keys. I used to play every day. Before, everything. Music was the only thing that made sense. Play something now, Lucy said softly. I can't. I don't remember. Yes, you can. Ethan looked at her. Then he sat down slowly. He lifted the cover. His fingers hovered over the keys. Then he pressed down. The notes were shaky at first. Uncertain. But then they smoothed out. A melody filled the room. Sad. Beautiful. Haunting. Lucy sat on the couch and listened. She watched his face. His eyes were closed. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked peaceful. When the song ended, silence filled the room. That was beautiful, Lucy whispered. Ethan opened his eyes. They were wet. My mother taught me that song. I thought I'd forgotten it. You didn't forget, Lucy said. It was just waiting for the right moment. Ethan looked at her. Really looked at her. In the soft lamplight, she looked different. Not like a maid. Not like an employee. Like someone who mattered. Lucy, he said quietly. When this is over. When the baby is born. What will you do? Lucy hadn't thought about it. I don't know. Go back to my life, I guess. What if? Ethan stopped himself. What if what? He shook his head. Nothing. Never mind. But Lucy saw it in his eyes. He didn't want her to leave. And she realized something that terrified her. She didn't want to leave either. 2 weeks later, they returned to Dr. Park's office. The embryo implantation was scheduled. Lucy changed into a hospital gown. Ethan waited in the room with her. He held her hand. Are you scared? He asked. A little, Lucy admitted. Are you? Terrified. She squeezed his hand. We're in this together. Together, Ethan repeated. The word felt strange. Good. Dr. Park entered. Ready. Lucy nodded. The procedure took less than an hour. It was painless. Clinical. But when it was over, Lucy felt different. Something had changed inside her. Maybe just hope. Maybe something more. Ethan helped her to the car. He drove carefully, like she was made of glass. 2 weeks, he said. Then we'll know. Lucy leaned back and closed her eyes. 2 weeks. But she already felt it. Deep in her heart. This was going to work. And when it did, everything would change. The test came back positive. Lucy was pregnant. She stared at the paper in Dr. Park's office. The words blurred. Her hands shook. "Congratulations," Dr. Park said warmly. "Everything looks perfect." Ethan sat frozen beside her. His face was pale. Unreadable. Lucy looked at him. "Ethan." He blinked. Then suddenly, his face broke into something she'd never seen before. Joy. Pure, unguarded joy. "It worked," he whispered. "It actually worked." Lucy laughed. Tears ran down her face. "We did it." Ethan reached out and took her hand. He squeezed it tight. "Thank you. Lucy, thank you." For one perfect moment, everything was right. Then the world came crashing down. It started 3 days later. A tabloid published a story. Billionaire Ethan crosses secret baby with household staff. The article had photos. Lucy entering the penthouse. Lucy leaving the doctor's office with Ethan. Lucy in the car with him. The story painted her as a gold digger. A scheming maid who seduced her rich boss. It called Ethan reckless and foolish. Within hours, the story was everywhere. News websites. Social media. Television. Lucy's phone exploded with calls. Reporters camped outside her apartment building in the city. They shouted questions. Took pictures. She stopped going home. She stayed in the penthouse. But even there, she wasn't safe. Ethan's assistant quit. His PR team panicked. The board of directors called an emergency meeting. And Ethan grew cold again. He stopped eating breakfast with Lucy. He stopped talking to her. He locked himself in his office for hours, taking angry phone calls. Lucy felt the walls going back up. She tried to reach him. "Ethan, we need to talk." "Not now. The media is lying. We can tell them the truth." "There is no truth that will help," Ethan said sharply. "The board wants blood. My investors are threatening to pull out. Do you understand what you've cost me?" Lucy's heart stopped. "What I've cost you?" Ethan turned away. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." Lucy's voice shook. "I did this for you. I'm carrying your child. And now you're blaming me." "I'm not blaming you. I'm just," he ran his hand through his hair. "I need to think." "Think about what?" "How to fix this." Lucy's eyes filled with tears. "Am I something that needs to be fixed now?" Ethan didn't answer. That silence broke her. The board meeting happened 2 days later. Ethan stood in the conference room. 15 board members sat around the table. Cold eyes. Judging faces. "This is unacceptable," one board member said. "You've made us a laughingstock." "My personal life is my business," Ethan said coldly. "Not when it affects the company," another board member snapped. "Stock prices are falling. Investors are nervous. You need to handle this." "Handle it how?" "Distance yourself from the girl. Pay her off. Make a statement." Ethan's jaw clenched. "No. No." The chairman stood up. "Ethan, you have an heir now. That was the requirement. But if you continue this relationship with your maid, we'll have no choice but to question your judgment. We can still vote you out." The words hit like a punch. "You need to choose," the chairman said. "The company. Or her." Ethan stood there, frozen. Every instinct screamed at him to fight. To defend Lucy. To tell them all to go to hell. But fear gripped him. Fear of losing everything he'd built. Everything his uncle left him. "I'll handle it," he said quietly. He walked out. Lucy was packing when he got home. She'd moved her things into a small suitcase. Her eyes were red from crying. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked. "Leaving." Her voice was hollow. I heard your assistant on the phone. The board wants me gone. So I'm going. Lucy, wait. No. She zipped the suitcase. I thought you were different. I thought you were brave. But you're just like everyone else. You only care about yourself. That's not true. Then tell me. Lucy turned to face him. Her eyes blazed with pain. Tell me you'll fight for me. Tell me this meant something to you. Ethan opened his mouth. But the words wouldn't come. The fear was too strong. Lucy's face crumpled. That's what I thought. She picked up her suitcase and walked to the door. Where will you go? Ethan asked quietly. That's not your problem anymore. Lucy's hand was on the doorknob. She turned back one last time. I hope your company keeps you warm at night, Mr. Cross. Because you just lost the only person who actually cared about you. The door slammed shut. Ethan stood alone in the massive penthouse. Silent. Empty. He'd pushed her away. Just like he pushed everyone away. The walls were back. And this time, they destroyed everything. Lucy went back to her small apartment. It was cold. Quiet. Empty. She sat on her bed and cried until she had no tears left. Her phone buzzed constantly. Reporters. Strangers. People saying terrible things about her online. She turned it off. She put her hand on her stomach. Still flat. But life was growing inside her. Ethan's child. A child who would never know how much she'd sacrificed. A child who would grow up with a father too afraid to love. Lucy closed her eyes. I'm sorry, little one. I thought I was doing the right thing. But maybe she'd been wrong. Maybe some people were too broken to be saved. Ethan sat in his office. Dark. Silent. Alone. He'd won. The board backed down. His company was safe. Stock prices stabilized. He had everything he wanted. Everything except the one thing that mattered. He looked at his phone. He'd typed Lucy's number 100 times. But he never pressed call. What would he say? I'm sorry I'm a coward. I'm sorry I chose money over you. He put the phone down and walked to the piano. He sat down. His fingers touched the keys. He tried to play the song. The one his mother taught him. The one he'd played for Lucy. But his fingers wouldn't move. The music was gone. Just like her. Ethan's chest tightened. He couldn't breathe. The walls he'd built, the walls that were supposed to protect him, were suffocating him. He stood up and walked to his bedroom. He opened his closet. In the back, hidden behind his suits, was a small wooden box. He hadn't opened it in 30 years. Inside were photos. His parents. His Uncle Henry. And a letter. The letter Henry had left him before he died. Ethan had read it once, at the funeral. Then he'd buried it. Now, he opened it again. Dear Ethan. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope I taught you well. I hope I gave you the tools to build something great. But more than anything, I hope I taught you to love. I know you've been hurt. I know you carry pain I couldn't heal. But please, don't let that pain define your entire life. The company means nothing if you're alone. Money means nothing if you have no one to share it with. Find someone who sees you, the real you. And when you do, don't let fear steal them away. Be brave, Ethan. Not in business. In life. Love, Uncle Henry. Ethan's hands shook. His uncle knew. Somehow, Henry had known. Tears fell onto the letter. I'm sorry, Uncle Henry, Ethan whispered. I wasn't brave. I was afraid. And I lost her. He sat on the floor of his closet and cried. He cried for the little boy who'd been hurt. He cried for the man who'd built walls so high he couldn't see the sky. He cried for Lucy, who'd offered him everything and received nothing. And then, something inside him shifted. Broke open. He thought about Lucy's words. You're not alone anymore. Maybe we're both broken. But we survive because someone needs us. She'd been right. He wasn't broken because of what happened to him. He was broken because he'd chosen to stay broken. He'd chosen fear over love. He'd chosen walls over freedom. But he could choose differently. Ethan stood up. He wiped his face. He grabbed his phone and called Richard, his lawyer. Richard, I need you to draft a statement. And call an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow morning. Ethan, what are you doing? Something I should have done weeks ago. The next morning, Ethan stood in front of the board. But this time, he wasn't alone. Richard stood beside him. And behind them, a screen displayed a prepared statement. Gentlemen, Ethan began. His voice was steady. Strong. I have something to say. And you're going to listen. The board members shifted uncomfortably. 3 months ago, I learned I needed an heir to keep this company. I could have married someone I didn't love. I could have lied. But instead, I found another way. He clicked to the next slide. Lucy Martinez agreed to be a surrogate. Through IVF. Completely legal. Completely ethical. She asked for no money. She did it out of kindness. He looked each board member in the eye. The media has called her a gold digger. They've called me reckless. And I let them. I let you pressure me into pushing her away. I was afraid of losing this company. His voice grew stronger. But I realized something. My uncle didn't leave me this company so I could be alone and miserable. He left it so I could build a life. A real life. Ethan straightened his shoulders. So here's my choice. Lucy Martinez is carrying my child. And I love her. I'm going to tell her that. I'm going to ask her to forgive me. And if you don't like it, you can have the company. Silence. The chairman stared at him. You're willing to give up everything? No, Ethan said. I'm willing to give up nothing. Because without her, I have nothing. He walked out. For the first time in his life, Ethan Cross was truly free. Lucy stood in her apartment kitchen, making tea. It was early morning. Gray light filtered through the window. She hadn't slept well in 3 weeks. She was 8 weeks pregnant now. The morning sickness had started. But she didn't mind. It meant the baby was growing. Healthy. That was all that mattered. She decided what to do. After the baby was born, she'd give full custody to Ethan. She'd move away. Maybe to Texas, near her brother. Start over. It was better this way. A knock on the door startled her. Lucy froze. Reporters had finally stopped camping outside. Who would come this early? She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Her heart stopped. Ethan. He stood in the hallway, wearing jeans and a simple sweater. His hair was messy. His eyes were red. He looked exhausted. He looked real. Lucy's hand trembled on the doorknob. She shouldn't open it. She should tell him to leave. But she opened the door anyway. What are you doing here? Her voice was cold. I needed to see you, Ethan said quietly. You made your choice. You chose the company. No. Ethan shook his head. I chose fear. But I'm not choosing it anymore. Lucy's heart pounded. What are you talking about? Can I come in? Please. Lucy hesitated. Then she stepped aside. Ethan walked in. The apartment was tiny compared to his penthouse. 1 bedroom. Small kitchen. But it was warm. It felt like a home. Lucy, I'm sorry. Ethan turned to face her. I'm sorry for everything. For pushing you away. For letting them call you names. For being too afraid to fight for you. Tears welled in Lucy's eyes. Why are you here now? Because I finally understand something. Ethan took a step closer. My uncle left me a letter. He told me not to let fear steal away the people I love. But I didn't listen. I built walls. I chose loneliness. His voice cracked. But you broke through those walls, Lucy. You saw me. The real me. The broken, scared, damaged me. And you didn't run. You stayed. Tears ran down Lucy's face. I love you, Ethan said. I'm in love with you. Not because you're carrying my child. But because you're kind. And strong. And braver than I'll ever be. Lucy covered her mouth. Sobs shook her shoulders. I told the board everything, Ethan continued. I told them I love you. I told them if they can't accept that, they can have the company. I don't care anymore. Ethan, you can't. Yes, I can. He moved closer. You told me everyone needs someone. You were right. I need you, Lucy. Not as my maid. Not as a surrogate. As my partner. My equal. My love. He dropped to one knee. Lucy gasped. Ethan pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple ring. Not huge. Not flashy. Just beautiful. I know I don't deserve you, Ethan said, his voice shaking. I know I hurt you. But I'm asking anyway. Lucy Martinez, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that I can be brave? That I can choose love? Lucy couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. She looked at this man. This broken, beautiful man who'd finally learned to open his heart. Say something, Ethan whispered. Please. Yes, Lucy sobbed. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Ethan's face broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. He stood and pulled her into his arms. She melted into him. They held each other and cried. Happy tears. Healing tears. I love you too, Lucy whispered against his chest. I've loved you for so long. Ethan pulled back and slid the ring onto her finger. Then he cupped her face gently. Can I kiss you? He asked softly. Lucy nodded. Their lips met. Soft. Gentle. Perfect. For Ethan, it was the first kiss in 30 years that didn't make him afraid. It made him feel alive. 6 months later. The baby was born on a sunny Tuesday morning. A girl. Healthy. Beautiful. With dark hair and bright eyes. They named her Grace. Grace Elena Cross. Lucy held her in the hospital bed. Ethan sat beside them, his arm around Lucy's shoulders. She's perfect, Lucy whispered. Just like her mother, Ethan said softly. Lucy looked up at him. Are you scared? Terrified, Ethan admitted. But I'm not alone. We'll figure it out together. Together, Lucy repeated. The door opened. Lucy's brother, Miguel, rushed in. He was 22 now, about to graduate college. I came as fast as I could. He stopped when he saw the baby. His eyes went wide. Oh wow. She's so tiny. Want to hold your niece? Lucy asked. Miguel nodded eagerly. Lucy carefully placed Grace in his arms. Ethan watched his new family. His wife. His daughter. His brother-in-law. His walls were gone. And in their place was something he'd never thought possible. Love. Real, messy, beautiful love. 1 year later. Ethan and Lucy stood on the balcony of their new home. Not the cold penthouse. A real house, with a yard and a garden. Grace toddled across the grass, chasing butterflies. Her laugh filled the air. Do you ever regret it? Lucy asked. Giving up the company? Ethan smiled. I didn't give it up. I just stepped back. Let someone else run it. And you know what? I'm happier than I've ever been. He turned to Lucy and took her hand. I used to think power meant control. But real power is letting go. Trusting. Loving. Lucy leaned her head on his shoulder. Your uncle would be proud. I think he would. Grace ran up to them, her arms raised. Up. Daddy, up. Ethan lifted her into his arms. She giggled and kissed his cheek. Lucy wrapped her arms around both of them. This was everything. This was enough. What's the bravest choice you've ever made for love?